Hello, everyone. All right, let's get started. So first, I want to make sure everybody can hear me. Can everybody hear me okay? Great. Okay, good. All right, so I hope you were able to get the homework step done. So if you didn't get the homework step done, that's okay. I still want you to follow along with what we do today so you can just see what we're doing. And then you'll still get a video for everything we're doing today. So you won't miss anything. You'll still be able to follow along all the way to the end steps of what we're doing, okay? And that's good, Lorna. So go ahead and keep going on that. When if you're done, you can keep watching this if you want, but don't forget that you will get a video at the end with everything we're covering today, so you won't miss anything. That's the important thing I want to make sure you all know, is that even if you don't get everything done today, or you get a little bit behind or something like that, that's totally fine. Everybody will get to see all the steps. And even if you need help after the class, you can always email me and I'll help you either over email or Zoom or whatever works best. Okay. Lorna, that's totally fine if you're not done with it yet. You can just go ahead and keep going, and then just watch along here and follow along as much as you can. And then you could just continue and do the homework video that will get sent for today, and you can just keep going from that one. So don't worry about that. All right. So what we're going to do is, so starting here, if okay. Hold on, I'm just going to answer a few questions. So Lorna, go ahead and finish doing yesterday's homework assignment, and then go ahead and keep doing that. And then you can check back in on this just to kind of watch what we're doing, just so you can see it. And then you could follow along with the video that comes later today. And hello, everyone else. It's great to see everybody. I see lots of familiar faces. I see Kanan and Luke and Brendo and Autumn and James and Sean and Lorna, Isaiah and Brenna and Aurora. This is good to see everyone. Okay, so all right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna Lorna, it's up to you. If you want to just mute this and just have it going in the background, that's fine too. Totally fine, whichever way you want to do it. And Shanna, so your question, you had an unclosed curly brace. So when we start up, I'll go through a few of the things that some people ran into. And hello, Hartley. So first off, if you started up Pico 8 and it looks like this, then you would just type load snake and hit enter. If you type load snake and hit enter, then it loads it. And then if you hit escape, it goes in. I'm just waiting for a sec so everybody can see this on the screen. So if you want to make sure you can get into it. So hit escape and it goes into it. Okay, so I'm just going to go over a few of the things that some people got tripped up on. And they're pretty easy to get tripped up on, so it's fine. But I'm just going to go over what some of those are so everybody knows what to look for if they were having some trouble. Okay, so yes, Kanan, I did switch versions. He's the person who makes Pico 8 has been releasing lots of new versions, and I've been keeping up, but don't worry if you haven't, that's totally fine. Okay, so one thing was making sure that you have these underscores in between the names, like make underscore player. It's really important to make sure that those match. And like where it says move player, move underscore player, you have to make sure that those match the function names that you wrote on the other pages. So for example, where it says make player here, like make underscore player, you have to make sure that on the other code tab where you actually write those functions, that this name matches that. So if this says make underscore player, this also has to say make underscore player, and those have to match. Shanna, if you had unclosed curly braces, so that one thing to make sure of is like you have a starting curly brace here and an ending curly brace here. and then that you have starting and ending, starting and ending, starting and ending on each of those. You should have like each opening curly brace should have a matched ending curly brace. And it can be tough to keep track of those. Sometimes it's a little easy to get lost in like how many you have open or closed. But that can happen. So just make sure that you have it looking like this. The other thing is sometimes it's easy to accidentally type a curly brace instead of a square bracket. And so make sure that you're using square brackets on both sides and that one of them is not accidentally a curly brace. That can also happen too. Usually it will tell you when you have an error, it will usually tell you kind of where to look for your error. Like I'm going to give you an example. Like let's say I accidentally use a curly brace right here instead of a square bracket. And then I go try to run it. So it gives me an error, right? It says, expected blah, blah, blah. Well, it says line 11, tab 1. And if I hit escape, usually it's put my cursor already on line 11, tab 1. But here's tab 1, line 11. And you can see, oh, okay, that's where it is. And you can change it. And then we can try it again. So Luke, that's totally fine. If you didn't get the homework done, you can go ahead and just watch this and follow along. And then when you, just so you have an idea of what we're doing, and then there will be a video for today that starts where we left off yesterday, or from yesterday's video. So as long as you have the videos, you'll be able to go through the whole thing start to finish and not miss anything. So don't worry, just kind of watch and keep up. And it's okay if you just keep up by watching, that's fine too. Okay, so that's something else that can happen. Another thing is make sure that these are named correctly. So if it says like move timer, it doesn't say something else. Or another thing that can happen is sometimes it's easy to forget to put a then at the ends of these. Like even I've done that a few times. And when you go to run the code, it complains about it. And then you just have to make sure that if you say if, there's a then as well. Like if this, then, and you have to have that there. Sometimes you don't need a then, and that's when you have the whole thing on one line. That's why these ones don't have a then. And that's kind of a special case, but usually you have a then. So that's one thing to watch for. Else ifs also have a then, and that's something to watch for too. That's pretty funny. So Milo said his screen is filled up with snake now. So yeah, so where we got to yesterday, we could drive the snake all over the screen, but then it doesn't crash into itself or anything. So you can just like fill the entire screen with a snake. So Shanna, another place you might have a curly brace that's not fixed is here, where you have a start curly brace and an end curly brace. You got to make sure that, and that should be inside the parentheses that are here. So that's another place that you can get tripped up too. Another place that's easy to get tripped up is when you're comparing things in an if, like if x equals head x, I will often forget to put the second equal sign. I think I even did that yesterday while we were writing code. But when you're comparing them to see if they're the same, not putting this in this one, if you're comparing them, you have to make sure to use two equal signs. Other things are, that's mostly it. Luke, I remember getting your email yesterday, so I will, it's whatever email you signed up with is where the homework assignment got sent. So whatever email address got signed up for this seminar, or for this webinar, that's where it would be. But I have your email from yesterday, so I will make sure to send you, I'll send you another copy of that email. Also make sure to check spam. Sometimes it goes in there. Possibly, yeah, Luke, it might have gone to your mom's email. So that's a good place to check too. Okay, so I'm going to run this. I'm going to hit Control R, or if you're on a Mac. Sean, that's okay. Like I said, you can just follow along, and then there'll be another video that covers everything we did today. So if I hit Control R, you can see we've got a game, but the snake just kind of keeps going forever, which is not what we want. We want the snake to be able to actually like stay a certain size until we eat something. We also want to be able to see if we hit something, and then, game over if we hit something. So let's fix that first. Let's we're going to make it so that we can check to see if we hit something. And what we're going to do is right under here, before we draw the player. So if you get onto tab 1 and scroll down to where you see the draw player function, right above it, before the, or after the end here, and before function draw player, we're going to add some space here. Okay, so we'll be at the end of this function, and we'll have a function draw player. So in between those. Oh, that's cool, Milo. I would like to see everybody's if you get a chance. Okay, so we're going to write a new function, and this function is going to be called check hit, which is going to check to see if we hit something. So make sure you put function check hit and make sure to put the end there. It's really important you have both of them. And then in between here, what we're going to do is we are going to see if where the head is, if we're going to see if that tile is a wall. And the way we do that is we're going to say if, and then what we're going to check in the if is we're going to look on the map, and we're going to see wherever the head is, we're going to see, is it one of these tiles? Okay. Now, if you remember, this tile is tile 17 for me. So you have to remember which tile for you is a wall. Like if you put your wall over here, you would use 24, but I put my tile over here. So I'm using 17. Okay. So you have to know which one is your wall. And remember, each of these have coordinates, like down in the corner here, you can see. So we have to see, does the head X and head Y match a wall head, a wall X and Y? So we're going to do that. So right here, we're right here on the screen. So if, and we're going to say is mget, which says go get from the map, mget parenthesis, parenthesis. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, go get the tile at head X and head Y. Wherever the head is, go get that tile and tell us which number sprite is at that spot on the map. And if it's equal to 17, which is my wall tile, then we need to do something. Okay, so I want you to write this in there. So if parenthesis mget parenthesis head X comma head Y parenthesis equals 17 end parenthesis, then we're going to do something. And don't forget the end for the if. Okay, you have an end for the function and an end for the if. Okay, so what this does is it says, go get the tile at head X and head Y and see if it is the same as 17. Asmi, so hold on, I'm going to answer a question real quick. So Asmi, so we had someone else have that same problem, and the problem with that was that they accidentally named this move player instead of move timer. And then the game gets confused between move player, the function, and move player, the variable. So you want to make sure this is named move timer, not move player. And then any place else where you're supposed to use move timer, make sure you say move timer, not move player. Okay. Move player should only be right here. Function move player. And then over here where you actually tell it to do that. Okay. So that's one thing to check as me to make sure. Okay. Let's go back to our check hit function. So we said, go to the map and check and see what's at head X and head Y. And if that map tile is tile 17, meaning a wall, then what should we do? Well, that's pretty easy. Set game over equals true. So the game should be over. If you hit a wall tile, game is over. Done. Now we have a little bit, Brenna, yes, you can. You can absolutely just watch the recording. Yes, Sean, we're going to be making a video of this whole class, so you won't miss anything. So now we have a little bit of a trickier thing. So we could run it right now. Let's go ahead and save it, Control S or Command S. And I'm gonna leave it up here for a sec to make sure everybody gets that typed in, okay? Just for a sec. In fact, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take a screenshot of this and I'm gonna put it over on the side on my screen so that you, while I run it, you can still see what we were supposed to be typing, okay? Okay, let's put that over here. So this is what you're supposed to be typing in. And now, back over to Pico 8, I'm gonna run this. I'm gonna save it, Control S or Command S, and run it. Now, if I hit a wall, the game should be over. Bump. Nope, it didn't work. Okay, why not? Oh, I know why. Super dumb problem. So, see, I forget stuff too. So what we have to do is after we add the new head, a new spot to the body, then we should check and see if we hit something. So we're going to add the new spot to the snake, and then we'll see, okay, now that we're in a new spot, did we hit something? Okay, so we have to add this. We have to add check hit. This tells it to go down here and do this. Okay. Kanan, when yours isn't working, what is it? The problem that I ran into where I forgot to put check hit, or was it another problem? This was my fault. I forgot to add this in here. So after we add the head to the body, then we check to see if we hit anything. And that says go down here and check to see where we are. So actually, I'm going to put this on the screen because this is what you really should be typing in, not anything else. Okay, so hold on. And I'm going to draw on this too. I'm going to say, make sure you type that and this part too. Okay, so now, hold on one second. Okay. All right. Let's go back to our code here. Okay. So now I'm going to run it again, Control S and Control R. Now, if I hit a wall, the game should be over. Look at that. The game's over. I can't do anything. Remember, we can only move the player if it's not game over. So now we're going to try it again. We're going to go up and hit the top wall. And bonk. Okay, game over. But we still have a problem. I hit Control R again. I can still hit myself because that's not map tile 17. That's just me. So we need something that goes through every piece of our body and sees, hey, is our head on any of our body pieces? And if it's on any of our body pieces, then we should also game over. So let's add that. So I'm going to hit escape and then escape again. So Milo, make sure that you have this in here, mget head x head y equals 17, and make sure this number matches your wall tile. Make sure it doesn't match the grass tile, because if it matches the grass tile, then yeah, sure, it's going to go one step and it said, oh, I hit something and I died. So make sure this number matches your wall tile. Okay, so now we need another if. And this if is going to go through our whole body. But it's not, we're not going to start out with if. We're going to do this. We're going to say for I equals 1 to the number of pieces in our body minus 1. Do end. Now, I want to go over what this means, okay? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's misspelling the variable can also do that. So we're going to say for I equals 1 to number of pieces in the body minus 1. Now, why do we do number of pieces in the body minus 1? Well, that's because the last piece is the head. So we can't have the head be on the head, and that causes us to fail the game because the head's always going to be on the head. So we want to check all the pieces minus the head. So we're going to start at piece 1 and then check all the pieces minus the head. And I will keep track of which one we're at, which body piece we're at. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say this. We're going to say piece equals body I. So it's going to say go to this number piece of our body. So if we start at 1, it'll do the first piece and then the second piece all the way up until the number of pieces in our body minus 1. So we're going to say that piece is that piece of the body. And then we're going to say x equals piece 1 and y equals piece 2, because that's going to say, all right, now I want the first number of the body piece, because remember the first number is x, and the second number is y. So Aurora, you had a question. Let me see here. Yes, I can. Unfortunately, it's a lot of screenshots. But why don't you tell me, how about this? I'm gonna get to this end of this spot right here, and then as soon as we get to this spot, I'll help you debug that, okay? So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna say if x equals head x, meaning if our head is on this body's piece is x, and y equals head y. Okay, so this says, is the x and y of this body piece the same as our head x? Meaning, is our head on our body piece? If so, then we have to put an end. Don't get lost with your ends. Make sure you're spacing them in like this so you can tell this if goes with this end, and this for goes with this end, okay? So if the body piece is x and y is the same as our head x and y, then, well, game over. Oops. Game over equals true for that. So this checks if you hit a wall, and this checks if you hit your body. So I'm going to save it, Control S, okay? And then I'm going to paste this on the screen so that you can all see what your check hit function should look like, okay? Give me 1 second here. Okay. All right, so that's what that should look like. Now we're just gonna go back here, and Aurora, don't worry 1 sec. We're just gonna see if this works, and then I will help you with your problem. So, all right, so I should not be able to hit my body now. Bonk, boonk, and game is over. Perfect. And if I hit the wall, it's also game over. Good. All right, that's perfect. So now we have the right ways that our player can lose, is if they hit themselves or they hit the wall. Now, if you remember, that means if you try to go left, you go back onto yourself and you lose. Okay, so this is really good. Okay, so now, so Aurora, I want to help you out. So what error are you getting? And also, if anybody else is getting an error, I'd like to know too. Just going to stop for questions for a sec. Oh, okay. So Aurora, make sure you're using square brackets instead of curly braces. Square brackets are the same key as curly braces, except you don't hit shift. It's the same key though. And then Ranbir, what is line 55 for you? It might be different. Line 55 for me is this one, but what is that one for you? And Aurora, does it work now? Brenna, yes, you can do that if you'd like. That's totally fine. Aiden, if the error you're getting where it says end is not being recognized as a function, that usually means you either have not enough ends or too many ends. Oh, good, Ranbir. Good job. So Aiden, you just have to make sure that your ends match up. Like if you have an if, there's an end for that if. And then if, see how there's for, there's an end for that for. And then this if has an end. And then this function has an end down here. Okay, so see how the function has an end, the if has an end, for has an end, and if has an end. So like you have to make sure that there's enough things that match up. And also like make sure you don't, you know, you just got to try to make sure that those are matched up, because that can trip you up. And it is sometimes hard to keep track of how many you have. Kanan, yes. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look for fruit. And good job, Aiden. Okay, so now we've got this working and we can end the game. Yeah, that's true, Milo. You can still fill up the screen, but we need to fix that. So first thing we're going to do now is go make fruit. So everybody switch. What does it say? Error 49. Where does it say where that is? Isaiah? Where does it say that? Does it say error on line 49? Make sure you have a do at the end of your for. That's important. Oh, I equals 1 comma body minus 1. You have to make sure you put the 1 there, Aurora. Because you have to start at number 1 and then go up to the number of pieces in the body minus 1. Okay, Isaiah, but what is on line 49? Your line 49 might be different than my line 49, so I want to know what's on your line 49. Okay, I'm gonna wait for Isaiah to type, but in the meantime, while we're waiting for that, I want everybody to go to the Sprite Editor. Oh yeah, so Aurora, so make sure you have I equals 1 comma pound body minus 1. Make sure the 1 comma is in there, because that says start at number 1 and then go up to the number body. Okay, function draw player is where the error is. Okay, so make sure you have an end that ends your check hit function. That's the important thing. Make sure you have check hit and make sure there's an end, but make sure you have, these are all matched. So use the code that's up here to make sure you have all your ends matched up, okay? Okay, so now I want everybody to go to the Sprite Editor, and after our wall, right next to our wall, we're going to draw some kind of fruit. So I am going to, let's see, how do I want to draw my fruit here? I'm going to make my fruit. I've drawn fruit before, and I think I drew it like this. It's kind of like a heart, but we're going to add like a dark color on the side like this. And then maybe a little sparkle right there. This is my fruit. You can make your fruit look however you want. If you want to make a banana, you can make a banana. If you want to make a mouse, because I guess snakes eat mice, don't they? You can make a little mouse. If you wanted to make an orange, or you can make it a heart, like you get another life, whatever you want. But main thing is you make something. Oops, I accidentally scrolled my mouse. Okay, good, Austin. That works too. Okay. So I'm gonna leave this fruit on the screen here so that everybody can see how they want to draw it. You don't have to draw it like this. You can draw it however you want. But I'm gonna put it down here so that you can keep drawing if you want to. Okay. Cool, that's good. Yeah, I don't know if mine looks like what kind of fruit mine could be a berry or an apple or a plum or something. Okay, so let's do the next thing. So now we're gonna go find a way to drop fruit on the screen. But the trick is, yes, Isaiah, I will be happy to do that. I can't do it right after this class, but I will be able to do it this afternoon. And I will email you, or you can email me, send me an email, and I will be happy to figure out a time we can do that today. I would be happy to figure that out with you. Okay, so we need a way to drop fruit. Okay, so we're gonna make a whole new tab just for the fruit, and I'm gonna do -- fruit. That way, it puts a note for me, and then we're gonna say function drop fruit. Spell fruit right, and then end. Okay, it's very important you do function drop _ fruit and then end. Now, we're gonna start this off with a variable called found spot equals false, meaning did we find a spot to drop the fruit? Now, when we first go to drop the fruit, obviously we have not found a spot to drop the fruit. So that's going to be false. And then we're going to look all around our map and see, is there a place we can drop fruit? And if we find a place, we will set this to true. And what we're going to do is we're going to do what's called a loop, a while loop, and write it like this: while parenthesis not found spot do end. So what this does is this says, while we have not found a spot, do all this stuff in here. And then when you get to the end, go right back up and check again. Did you find a spot? And if found spot is still false, like if not found spot, then do all this stuff in here, okay? So this is going to keep looking all over our map until we find a spot. And then it will say, oh, found spot equals true. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to say fruit x equals. Now, if we do RND 15, that picks a random number between 0 and 15, okay? Sorry, actually we want 16 because we have 16 places on our map, or 16 tiles on our map. But here's the problem. It might pick like 14.2 or 8.5. And that doesn't work because we don't have like tile 8.5. We just have tile 8 and tile 9. So we need a way to round that fancy random number down. And the way we do that is we use a function around the RND, the random function, called floor, FLR, okay? What that does is that takes whatever this is and rounds it down, like drops the number to the floor. So if it's at 2.7, it drops it to the floor at 2. And if it's 8.5, it drops it to the floor at 8, okay? And then we're gonna do the same thing for fruit Y, equals floor random between 0 and 16, and so we have a rounded number. Now the reason we do 16, it doesn't pick a number, it doesn't ever pick 16, it picks up to 16. If you want to delete stuff on your sprite, you use the color black, and that will delete stuff, and you can just draw with the color black. Yes. You know what, Isaiah, here's what you can do. Go do this. I want you to copy, like select your whole check hit function. Select it like this, and then hit, if you're on a Mac, hit Command C. If you're on a PC, hit Control C. And then in the answer, I want you to paste it with Control V or Command V, depending on if you're a Mac or PC. Okay, that way all your code from that function will go blonk right into my answer, and I'll be able to check and see. Okay, so let's go back to our fruit. So we're gonna pick a random spot on our map. Now we need to see if mget fruit x and fruit y, that's gonna say, go look at that random spot that we picked. Go look at it and find out, tell me what tile is at that spot. Go map get fruit x and fruit y. And if it's equal to 16, then end. So what this does now, why 16? Because that is our grass tile. So in other words, we're gonna say, go pick a random spot on the map and now see if it's grass. See if it's tile 16. So if your grass is over here on tile 21, you'd have to say, you know, mget fruit x fruit y equals 21. But I'm using 16 for my grass tile, so it should be there. I can copy my stuff to the chat. Yes, so I'm gonna put this, this is my check hit function. There we go. Okay, all right, so now, sorry, let's get back to this. So now if we find out that it's a tile, if we find out that this is a grass tile, then we can say found spot equals true, and we're done looking, because now not found spot won't be the case anymore. We actually found a spot. So if we found grass, great. But we might end up dropping the fruit right under the player's body, and that wouldn't be good. We need to have it not be where the player is, okay? So we need a second check that sees, did we drop this where the player is? So now we're gonna say, we're gonna go through all the spots in our body, in our snake body, and see, does the spot we found for the fruit, is that the same as any of the spots where the body is? So we're gonna say, for I equals 1 to pound body. And we do the whole body, including the head. Do end, all right? So for I equals 1 comma pound body do. This is gonna go through every item in the body list, okay? And then we're gonna say, okay, the piece we're looking at is body I. So that piece, whichever I we're at, from 1 through the end of the body, let's get that piece. And then we're gonna say X equals piece 1 and Y equals piece 2. So we're gonna get the first number from that body piece, then the second number, and we're gonna stick it in XY. And then we're going to say, if X equals fruit X and Y equals fruit Y, fruity, it's funny how that works out, then, so you can't see it on my screen, but you have to make sure you notice that there's a then at the end of this line, okay? Don't forget that there's a then over here, even though it's off the edge of the screen. So if X equals fruit X and Y equals fruit Y, in other words, if the body piece that we found is at the same spot as the piece of fruit that as the fruit location, then found spot isn't a good spot. It's back to false. So let's say we found a spot on the map that's grass, but then we check our body and we see, oh, no, that's over a body spot. If we found it as grass, we say, oh yeah, that's a good spot. But then if we check and see it's on a body, we say, no, it's not a good spot. So that way, when it goes back up here to check again, it still says, no, we still didn't find a good spot. Okay, and that's it. That will find a spot on our map for the piece of fruit. Sorry, Luke, I will try to go a little bit slower. I was just trying to make sure we get through all of this before the end of class, because this is kind of a good step to end on. Isaiah, did you paste it in here? Is that, I can't tell if that's what you pasted or what I pasted. Oh, I think that's what you pasted. Sorry, I'm just checking an answer here. Everybody else can finish typing this on the screen. Oh, I see what happened. So, the long line of code just has a then here, and then there's a then here. That's all. There's nothing else past that. And then there's just a lot of ends. I hate it when there's so many ends like this, but you know, that is how it is. So I'm going to answer Isaiah's question real quick here. So Isaiah, on your thing, so see how we have our move player stuff happening here, and then we have end? Before draw player is when all this check hit stuff is. That's before draw player. And I think yours is kind of stuck in the middle of draw player. So it's kind of trying to do it like it's trying to do another function right inside your other function. Austin, yes, you're correct. The fruit does not show up yet because all we did is find a spot for the fruit. We're not drawing it yet. So Isaiah, I hope you got that your check hit function needs to be between the end of your move player function and before the beginning of your draw player function. It's got to be in between there. Okay, so back to here. So we found a spot to drop the fruit, and we found some new coordinates for fruit X and fruit Y. But now we need a function that can draw it to the screen. So we're going to say function, this is after our, drop fruit. We're going to say draw fruit. And this is a really easy function, okay? So now we say SPR for draw sprite. Draw what sprite? Well, our fruit is at sprite 18. So wherever you drew your fruit, you have to figure out what that number is. But I put mine at 18, so I'm using 18. So draw sprite 18 at fruit x times 8. Remember, shift 8 does the time symbol, and fruit y times 8. So remember, we have to do times 8 because tiles are 8 pixels dots wide and 8 pixels tall. So we have to take the location and then multiply it by 8. So draw sprite 18 at fruit x times 18 and fruit y times 18. And now we have these two functions. I'm going to leave this on the screen for a sec so you can finish writing it. But we're not using them yet, right? We have to go back to tab 0 and write them. So I'm going to copy my draw fruit function just so you can have it on the screen. I'm going to put it, I guess down here would be okay. That's kind of confusing. Maybe I'm not going to do that. Let's do, I'm going to put it, hold on one second. Sorry, I'm just getting this copied. I'm going to put it here. There we go. That's my draw fruit function. Okay. So now we need to go back to tab 0. Okay. And what we need to do is when we start the game, after we make the player, we're going to drop fruit. At the very beginning of the game, we're going to drop fruit. So we start out with some fruit on the screen. And then every time we draw to the screen, after we draw the player, or actually, sorry, right before we draw the player, we're going to draw fruit. So drop fruit and draw fruit, different ones. Drop fruit is at the beginning, and draw fruit happens every time we draw to the screen. So we'll clear the screen, draw the map, draw the fruit, then draw the player. And if we save it, Isaiah, yes, I will help you. You just got to give me 1 sec because I just want to get this part done so we can, so everybody else can wrap up on this step. So if we run it, Control S and Control R, there we go. Now you'll notice we have a problem because we can't eat the fruit yet. That's okay. So in the video you get for today, it will show you how to eat the fruit, but we can't run into ourselves. We can't run into the walls, but it does drop fruit. So in the next one, in the next steps that you'll get as homework, what we'll do is we'll check, not only check to see do we hit the walls in ourselves, but we'll add one extra thing to see do we hit the fruit. And if we hit the fruit, then only then will we grow. But otherwise we'll just stay the same size. Okay, so Isaiah, so let's, so Milo, make sure you draw the fruit before you draw the player. Because if you draw the fruit after the player, then it's going to draw on top of the player. Austin, what do you mean the game is stuck in the last position you played? Luke, I will send the video to all the email addresses of the people who signed up for the class, but I remember your email from yesterday, so I will send it to that same email address that you sent me yesterday, just to make sure that you get it. So you might end up with 2 emails, but you'll get it. I'll make sure. I say I will definitely help you. When I played the, so I'm reading Austin's question. Meaning it like, oh, like it just gets stuck. Okay, so if you try to run the game and it just immediately gets stuck, usually that means if you go back to the player thing, found spot equals false, expected near end. So Aurora, the thing that might be happening there is you have to make sure you have all the right ends. And this is a little tough because there's a lot of piled up ends here. So you have the function has its own end that's not spaced in. Then spaced in one time is the end for the while. Okay, that's this one. And then the if has its own end here, and for has its own end here, and this if has its own end here. So it's a lot to back and forth to keep track of, but you have to just make sure that each of those have the right ends. And Milo wanted to know what will be in the video for today. It will be how to eat the fruit, and then only then will it make you grow. Also, we're going to add a score. So every time you eat a fruit, you get some score. And we're going to make it so every time you eat a fruit, the game goes faster. So eventually, you're going to be going really fast around the screen, and it's going to be hard because your snake is going to be going really fast. And then if we have time, I will add in a cool trick that lets you loop your map. So like if you go off one side, you come in on the other side. And that's actually a really easy step to add. So if we have time, I will add that too. The function draw player is down here below your check hit function. Dean, yes, I'm going to be making a video that covers everything we covered today and covers all the extra things that we weren't able to get to today to finish up your game. All right, so don't worry. Everybody will get an email with that in there. And then Austin, the other place draw player is in your draw function. You have to put after draw fruit. That's where your draw player goes. So draw fruit goes between map and between draw player. Isaiah, I would like you to email me, send me an email, because I want to help you get your problem sorted out. Unfortunately, I have something I have to do right after this, right after we end off, and then I teach one more class. But I definitely would like to help you out with that. And Luke, I will send the email to all the email addresses that were used to sign up for this class, but I will also send it to the email address. I'll send you both videos, yesterday's and today's, to the email address that you emailed me from yesterday. Okay, so we're at a pretty good spot here. We have fruit, we have a player that can lose, and we just have a few things to add. We have to add a way to make the player not grow all the time, only when you eat fruit, and we have to add a score and something to tell the player that they have, that it's game over, so that they know. And we want to make it go faster and faster, so it gets harder and harder. So you start out really easy, and then it gets like faster and faster. The screenshot of the fruit, I think, or do you mean the screenshot, of drop fruit? That's over here. Good to hear it, Aurora. Yeah, I'm excited to see what you all make. Okay, I do have to end off, everybody. Unfortunately, we have another class coming up, and we have to get ready for that. But thank you, everybody, for watching. I really enjoyed this. And again, you will get a video with everything that we covered, and from the absolute start to the absolute end. And Isaiah, we will probably be able to do a Zoom call probably in about 2 hours. Okay, I have one thing I have to do after this, and then another thing after that. Austin, if you can send me your code, I will help you figure it out. Or if you can take a screenshot of what error it's giving you, I will also be able to help you. Yes, I will email you, Isaiah. So I have to end off now, but great job, everybody. And we'll be doing another game dev class next week, but it's going to be a lot shorter, and we're not going to cover quite as many things. We are going to make a different game than we made this time, but it'll be a lot simpler and shorter because we have a lot less time next week to do it. Austin, if you send me, if it's not giving you an error, then, so I want to show you, here's how you can send me your file, is if you hit escape and type folder and hit enter, it will pop up a window that has where your game file is, like the actual file. And then if you attach that file to an email to me, I can load it on my screen. Okay, so send that to me and then I will be happy to help you out. Okay, I got to end off, everybody. It was great to see all of you, and good job, and I will see you again. And watch out for the video because I'm sending it later today. Watch for the homework video that has all the rest of the steps. All right, bye everybody.